Patrick Johnston covers the Canucks for the Province and Post Media. He joins us usually on Thursdays. How much trouble you think they're in? 1-1 heading back to Nashville.
I was talking to someone yesterday about this, and they said, you know what? Goaltending is nonsense. It's all about whether you can score. And in many ways, you think about it, they scored 1 goal in game 2, and that's kind of the story there. I mean, the luck, the fact they couldn't finish, open looks, hit the post, all that possession. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So they controlled the play, they controlled the game, couldn't make the goals go in. And that, more than anything, is your story. I mean, I think we all said in the building anyway, those of us in press row, that could have easily been a 5. We didn't think it was, but it could have easily been a 5-3 game for the Canucks, right?
Yeah, totally.
So at the end of the day, listen, Casey DeSmith is what he is, right? He's gonna play to the best of his ability, but at the end of the day, you got to score goals, and that's what matters here.
I find great
They got 5 goals in the series.
Yeah,
the goal scorers: Joshua twice, Zadorov, Lindholm, Suter.
Well, four on a goalie. Mm-hmm. So 2 per game on goalies. That's not good enough. I do find great solace in the out-of-town scoreboard, though, because it reminds you on a bigger sample how individual these games are. Who thought the LA Kings could skate the very next game with the Edmonton Oilers, and it happened. I mean, there is every bit the possibility that Elias Pettersson looks great. Casey DeSmith, I don't even know that he needs to stand on his head. He just needs to be good.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, but all those things could happen. I mean, they are silos. They really are.
And the point has been made by several people now. I think that, I think Jim Rutherford clearly has been making the rounds on this one. He won 3 Stanley Cups, and in every Stanley Cup victory, there was a large element of the backup goaltender involved. So it's about your team, and it's about everything else you do beyond what goes on in your crease.
I struggle with that one a little bit because Casey DeSmith is not a backup like Marc-Andre Fleury and like Cam Ward.
Sure.
Right? Matt Murray is the other one. Yeah. Okay. I can see the line drawn straight to Matt Murray.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. And I do think that is a fair counter. And I go, you look at the Canucks' own experience, right? Casey DeSmith is not Corey Schneider, right? He's not an alternative. He is just the other guy, right? He's the guy that you need to have. And he's been a strong backup as backups go. He's been probably the best backup they've had since Eddie Lack. But at the end of the day,
since Thatcher Demko.
Well, Thatcher Demko as a backup wasn't actually that great. People forget 1920, before everything stopped, the world stopped. Jacob Markstrom got hurt, as exclusively reported by yours truly.
Oh, really? Okay.
Who could
anyway, but Thatcher Demko was already struggling. It was already starting to go south. It wasn't on him. The overall team kind of. And that is the lesson. And I wrote about that. There's a mentality aspect to all this too, right? You have to press on. And that was the last question I asked Rick Tocchet after the game on Tuesday night. I said, what's the challenge now? There is a mental challenge. You fight for everyone on and on and on, but nonetheless, what do you got to do here? How does this affect morale? And he said, I have to tell guys like Höglander, it's going to be okay. I have to keep these young guys in. We keep working. These things happen. These are bumps in the road, and you have to succeed and just take a deep breath and calm down and get on,
Speaking of goaltending, you have done some reporting on Thatcher Demko's century. Pray tell.
Yeah, I mean, following on from what Woodley was reporting yesterday, that it's likely out through the end of the second round. All my sources saying, yeah. I mean, of course, Woodley is as well connected as it gets, so it's no shock there. I mean, no surprise as well. Probably there's discussion of surgery. We'll see what happens. I don't know this for sure, but the logic to me in this is if we all think, and I think we all think the previous injury was an MCL sprain. I saw the reaction. I don't know this. I haven't confirmed this, but my reaction suggested to me that was a guy who's now dealing with a meniscus issue, but it could be, at this point, clearly it's a knee problem, and it's probably, if it's a new issue and the old issue was an MCL, and he can play, it's not ACL, it would be a meniscus thing. And that's incredibly difficult. The number of people who have said to me, why doesn't he just play through it? I'm like, I don't know. You ever had a knee problem? You ever tried to play goalie at the professional level? The idea that you can play through a structural issue to me is just, I mean, you can try, but I don't think you're not, the person may be there, but you're not going to get anything close to what you really need. And so at that point, what's the difference between that and Casey DeSmith?
Yeah. Well, is this injury one of those, like, will he do any further damage if he tried to play through it? If it was pain management, or, like, if there's no damage that can be done to it and it's just pain management.
I mean, if you've got a meniscus, if you've got a meniscus tear, the tear will continue. You're going to need surgical repair, right? I'm going to pull a Moj here, and I once had a meniscus injury, but there's a real issue of it catching. Like, it's a functional problem. Like, right. It's not structurally the way it's supposed to be. It's not like an MCL sprain is something maybe you can battle through because it's swelling and there's some fraying, but it's not like the joint isn't still fully operational. Like, this is a meniscus tear, there's a piece of tissue that's out of place. And, if you think about the way your knee is, and I'm doing the demonstration for everybody who's listening to this with my hands, but it is meant to do one thing, and it's not meant to have other options in it. And right now it sounds like there's other options in it, and that's not good.
Podcast audience really missed some good fisting there from Johnston.
X-rated podcast now.
I played on an MCL. I still feel it today, 30 years later. So, but do you think
racquetball or no?
Football to basketball.
There you go.
Couldn't miss 2 weeks of basketball season after doing the knee in football, and 30 years later, on mornings like this morning.
Racquetball? How old do you think he is? Come on.
Racquetball.
Well, that was the Moj thing. He was playing racquetball. Remember?
Moj just 10 years older than him.
It's true.
But of course, we could be getting to an Ilya Mikheyev style decision here, right? Like, do you want to hold out hope and hope you go deep enough that he can return to the lineup, or do you just, if it does require surgery, do the surgery and make sure he's good to go?
But that's still a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
And you know what? If he's back for opening night or he's back for November 1st, does it really matter? On that.
Yeah. I mean,
depends on what it is. I mean, it all depends in the end what it actually is, right? Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
If it's cleaning up meniscus, it's actually, you can get back pretty quick from that, but it's still surgery. Like,
but we're talking arthroscopic. You mean arthroscopic surgery? Is that what we're talking?
Well, I don't know. That part I don't know. But I'm just saying, if it's arthroscopic, you're pretty quick, right?
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Yeah.
If you're repairing ligaments, that's a whole other question. And I don't know.
Blake and I had a pretty good debate yesterday with regards to the style of this series and whether Nashville could keep up all the shot blocking and emerge victorious. Now, I understand every bit of the analytics here that, the shot attempts were so grossly in favor of the Vancouver Canucks. And if you keep that up over the long term, then you should have success. I'm just not sure.
And
now.
You should have Nashville injuries,
and you should have some Nashville guys who are either not as courageous to block these shots because of the pain, or that they're some out. Players leave the series. I'm just not sure the long term is now a best of 5, right? Like, that's the thing about analytics in the playoffs; they don't always perfectly apply because these series are so short, comparatively speaking. Yeah. What says you on this topic?
Well, listen, Andrew Brunette and Phil Forsberg were, very honest after the game when we talked to them that the way we played in the third period, it cannot go on. Like, sitting in a shell, inevitably, as many shots as you may have blocked there, and as good as you may have protected the slot, at the end of the day, the Canucks did still create chances, and there were things before that, even when the Canucks weren't carrying the play quite as the way they were, that they, again, like I said, they could have scored, right? So hoping to sort of hold on for dear life is just not a way to go. And that, again, to go back to the goal scoring thing, I mean, that has been what Brunette has succeeded in getting his team to do in the second half here, which is taking the puck to the net, keeping the puck on their stick, playing at the other end of the ice. And, we actually, ironically, I think saw more of that in game 1 than we saw in game 2. And so that's what it comes back to. Yeah, no, they know themselves. Even if the Canucks were struggling, they still created enough. Like, if you go off expected goals, they should have scored a bunch of goals. Now, I don't think they actually got enough of the quality looks you need, but you go to what you really want to do. You shoot a little bit quicker. You start creating a few more rebounds. That you make a mess in front of the net. You get more screens in front of the goalie. Like just loose puck sticks on the ice. You're going to start getting stuff in. It's not a super efficient or highly aesthetic way to score goals, but it's there. And so you're right. Like the second game 3, game 4, like I do not think they're going to look like that. I think at the end of the day, you're going to see Nashville try to carry the play more. That will open them up. The Canucks will be looking for counters on that. Like there's going to be more. There's a lot to come in this series. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
The key phrase though from Brunette and Forsberg is that we can't play like that in the third period.
Fair.
Because if you remove the shot attempts, even strength in the third period, which were 37-4 for Vancouver. And yes, totality 84-36 Vancouver.
Yeah.
You can't win that way. But if you remove the third period, then it's just 47-32.
No, exactly.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
And Nashville can win that way.
Yeah,
We all
absolutely.
agree, right?
Yeah, and like look at how they built their lead, right? Like they took their chances. They took a couple moments. I mean, this is in the end inevitably this is what hockey certainly is, but I think most sports are at this level. It's about winning your little moments, and the Canucks won the little moments on Sunday, and Nashville won theirs on Tuesday. The Canucks, the little moments where Elias Pettersson missing the net, Pia Suter missing the net, the puck hitting the post. Like Phil Forsberg didn't do that. He made a fantastic move. He is a star player, and he beat the Canucks' number 7th defenseman in the corner, and he made it happen. He made a fantastic move and scored a goal, right? Like those things happened because they were ready. And in the end, the Canucks didn't bury those chances. And then the third period happened. You're right. And that's exactly it.
Instead of trying to feather pucks in or rely purely on a slap pass if the shots aren't going through, are the Canucks capable of, and should they drive the net, even though that's not really their hallmark? Should they make a habit of that, if only just to switch it up?
I mean, yes, we've been talking about this all year, right? Like the idea of, they funnel them back to the point and they keep trying to do the same thing. And it's worked a lot. But at the end of the day, you got to try some other stuff. And I mean, look at the Garland, look like Connor Garland and Dakota Joshua had so much success, right? Like they were working the pucks down low, right? Like those were low to high passes a lot of the time, getting the puck
different, at least. Yes.
Different. I mean, the fundamental principle is the same, get the puck on top of the crease, right? But how it got there was a different way. And I mean, this is why I mentioned we do these Canucks coffee posts or further thoughts going forward. Like where's Niels Höglander? Like Niels Höglander has been a very effective player on this, right? I mean, it's not just Elias Pettersson, but where's Niels Höglander? Like he's a guy that's been getting in on the puck, making things happen. And when he's been successful, he's been either getting the puck to the net himself or he's had help doing so. And we haven't seen, he's basically got benched last game. He got put while they shifted to the star players, and a certain level, fair enough. But Niels Höglander he scored a bunch of goals this year. He's supposed to be in the mix, and those are the kind of guys you're supposed to, you're looking to be playoff performers, and you think he would be, but has been a non-factor. So that again goes to your point, Blake, is that the overall stylistic thing, they're still doing it, but the bits and pieces and the little variations they have in the lineup, they haven't all been working.
Very good point on Höglander, his first 2 Stanley Cup playoff games. So we've seen this before with young players. But I love Blake's question about, do you have to take the puck to net now? And for me, I wonder if that's Rick Tocchet Hockey 2.0 that we see next year.
Maybe.
Because, of course, the first thing about coaching is establish a system, establish a structure, establish as he talks about, staples, non-negotiables, and stuff like that. The next level of coaching is to be able to adapt to certain opponents and employ different styles, different ways of skinning the cat. And I'm just not sure the Vancouver Canucks are quite there yet.
Who might be his,
think the Canucks are there yet?
His test subject, though?
Do they have multiple routes to victory, multiple structures and styles that they can employ and be successful?
Do you know who's been getting a sneak peek at Rick Tocchet 2.0? Do you know who might be the test subject of what you're just talking about? Vasily Podkolzin. All this private tutorship that he's been getting before and after practices. Vasily Podkolzin.
Hey, I'm with you, buddy. I think he could be a
You are?
fascinating. I do actually like. Well, come on.
Okay, no.
If
but
your
hold on,
option
hold
is
on,
him
hold
or
on,
Sam
hold on,
Lafferty,
hold on. Yeah, if we're talking next year and we're talking the future, that's a separate discussion. But in this series,
listen, the
Vasily
option right now is him
Podkolzin.
or Sam Lafferty. Like Sam Lafferty's fine. I
Or
like
do
the
you
way
just-
he works hard,
whoa.
but like, who's
I
going
would
to play?
take I would take PDG out myself, but yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying in terms of playing with someone with Pettersson, I think you keep Lafferty in the lineup. And again, let's see what Podkolzin, if he can shake Elias Pettersson back into relevance.
I'm game.
Why not?
Yep.
What do you got to lose at this point, Matt?
Yeah.
the series.
You're already
Sam
feeling
Lafferty
No, you're not down love 3. It's 1-1. It's 1-1.
And playing
And you
Vasily Podkolzin
dominated the
doesn't put you-
play in game 2.
Oh. Vasily
Come on.
Podkolzin doesn't put you down 3-love either, though.
No. But
What are you
we're
afraid
not
of,
at
Matt?
We're not throw shit. We're not at the throw shit against the wall
It's true.
point of the series. I am A-okay if you want to go Podkolzin instead of Phil DiGiuseppe in game 3. A-okay. But I just think that Vasily on a white night, when he does not have a goal this year in the NHL in 19 games, he's got 2 freaking points.
PJ, he's not winning the Jack Adams over there. He's just not. He's not willing to take the chances to win the Jack Adams.
Goodness. Let's ask you the poll. Who's bigger key to victory in game 3? Pettersson, DeSmith, or feel free to go off the board?
Oh, Pettersson all the way.
Really?
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they need their stars to perform. He's a star player, in case you've heard.
Yeah, no. I just, to me, the goaltender is going to have a bigger effect on your winning and losing.
But he doesn't need to rise as high, right? Like
okay.
An average
And you're
goaltender
allowed
should do
to
it.
interpret the poll question
Casey
as you
DeSmith
see
doesn't
fit.
score goals.
You're allowed,
And that's the
quite right.
Yeah.
And at some point, you need a goal to win the hockey game.
Several.
Probably.
You need several.
Well, you need at least one, and that's one more than Vasily Podkolzin has in 19 NHL games.
See how we
this year.
set him up for you there, Matt? Just
You just can't leave it behind, right? You can't move on.
Do you know where this stems from, Patrick? And I know you have to run, and I hate to delay you with internal show squabbles, but so I say Blake last week, okay, we'll do an X Factor, give me an X Factor in the series. Okay. I picked Philip Hronek. I just thought, they get a great Philip Hronek, like in early part of the year. They have an incredible defense pair.
He
and
thought
I
he'd
think-
go with the 50-point defenseman.
Well, I mean, a level below the superstar, right? Not an all-star or anything like that. Just a very solid player. And there was a tale of 2 halves with Philip Hronek. He comes to me with Vasily Podkolzin. I go, like, is he even going to play? Like, how can you be an X factor if you're not playing? And now,
Guys, ever seen a
after
WWE
after
entry?
game 1 with Phil DiGiuseppe taking the penalty, I was like, okay, so are you going to double down here on Podkolzin, or are you just take your come up and
The
move
stage
on?
is set. Like, have you
Oh
never
my
seen a
God.
WWE
Oh my
episode?
God.
Like, the curtain
Okay.
opens and he's coming down.
All I'll say this: R.I.P. my mentions if Vasily gets in.
That's right.
And scores the
That's
goal
right.
in this
That's
series.
right.
We'll never hear the end of it.
Oh, Sekeres and
Patrick.
Price. Sekeres and Price, the essence of sports talk.
Right. You're a good man, Patrick Johnston. Thank you for indulging our reindeer games. We'll catch up next week. Enjoy games 3 and 4 on the weekend.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Hey, everybody. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here, then follow along with Sekeres and Price on YouTube. I promise more content coming.
The kids call it subscribe on YouTube.
Well, how about liking it?
Do that as well. Smash it right now.